Have you ever been in a bad place as an entrepreneur or business owner where business is not going well, you're sad, you're beginning to not want to get out of bed, things is just getting darker and darker, and there's this word that most people don't like talking about, which some people throw around very much, is just beginning to get depressed. Every day you wake up, you wish you did not wake up. And very soon, something start happening. You start having suicidal thoughts where you just wish you would not wake up. Some are subtle, some are a lot more aggressive. Some is just, I just hope God will not allow me wake up the next day. Or maybe as I'm walking, let one car mistakenly jam me so that everything will just end accidentally. And others might be a lot more aggressive where you're making attempts and planning to actually end it all. Now, this is something most people don't talk about when it comes to business, but it has happened to many people, especially people running businesses or running certain aspect of their life that has become so overwhelming that it becomes a major issue that leads to depression or worse, suicidal thoughts. Now, today's video, we're not going to be doing motivational talk. I'm not going to be hyping you up. I'm going to be giving you practical steps on how I experienced this and how I was able to come out of it, to help you see if you can use those steps to come out of it yourself. And it's something I believe that a lot of people might go through, and if you have plans of building a very big business or doing big things, you go through some variation of it. And if you don't have the right plan or the right thinking around it, you might actually fall victim of it and maybe end it all one day. But this video, if you watch the end, I'll give you practical steps that will help you not to. Entrepreneurship looks very sexy online, the pictures, the glamour. In fact, people will tell you that you get private jets, you make so much money and all the good things. This is what attracts a lot of people into it. Is it true? Yes. But there's also another part, the part where 9 out of 10 will fail in the first 1 year self. Then another 9 out of that 10. You see that inside the 10% of that one that crossed through first year will fail in the next 5 years. And this failure has left a ton of dead bodies of companies, and in some cases people. And people don't talk about this part because it's not glamorous, it's not exciting, but it's real. This is the real thing with entrepreneurs. So if it's not something that you're very sure you should go into, do not. And then if it's something that you absolutely have to, you need to prepare yourself for such challenges. And we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do to come over it if it does happen to you. I encountered this issue my early days into business. It was when I just started. Now, if you know my story a little, my own starting business was not just starting. I decided that, I'm going to first drop out of school, then start a business. And most people in my life then did not agree with that. In fact, they thought I was really stupid. To be honest, in retrospect, they were right. That was a very dumb thing to do. But I was very convinced that it was the right thing to do. And I paid the price for it because over the next couple of months, I started losing everybody. Slowly. It first started with my family. My mom went crazy because she's like, oh my God, my son. This is my son I had hopes for. In fact, that period, it was so sad that one time I met my mom and I saw her, and she looked like somebody who was grieving her child. Because the last time I saw her look like that was when my dad died. So it felt like I died and then she was just grieving my death. And it was bad because she also felt kind of helpless. Started calling a lot of family members, they were reaching out to me. And there was a lot of projection of fear. And as strong as I tried to be that period, it was getting to me. Now that was just phase one. If that was the only thing, maybe I wouldn't have been that sad. And then next thing, my church at the time. So then I was very into Christianity, like I was an active member of a church. And it's one of those churches where they preach we are all one family. And I bought into that ideology that we're all one family, but very soon we started having family issues over the matter. And one by one, they started withdrawing their support. And not only did they withdraw their support, they made a very public condemnation. I'm going to say one particular story. This is one of the saddest ones that really threw me over the ledge. It was one particular Sunday after service. It was a workers' meeting, and they called all the workers in the church. And then I was in front being me. Now I'm a very excited person, so I was just being jovial. I was making jokes and stuff. I was not making jokes publicly, I was just laughing and being happy. Then one of the pastors called me out, asked me to stand in front of the church, and she asked me a question that, hey, you said that you want to leave school and go and do something. What do you say you want to become again? And I said I want to be an entrepreneur. And she was like, what does that mean? And I explained what entrepreneurship was. And she said that if you were my brother, I would carry your head and hit the floor till your skull breaks. And then she started going, hitting on everything that I called my dream at the time. She went on about how stupid I was trying to start a business. She kept on going back in front of the whole church. Some people I could see, because I was standing in front, so I could see people laugh. I could see people make fun of me. And it wasn't just her, other people started joining in with their own words, saying a lot of stuff. By the time I go home that evening, I've been crying for a long time, right? But this one was different. I cried tears that I didn't even know where the source of that tears was. It was deep. I prayed, I cried, and it didn't help. And over the next couple of months, I started losing more and more people. At some point, it was my best friend at the time, did the same thing, had a conversation about something not relating. She went on about how crazy I was trying to start a business. And mostly about dropping out, not the business part. And after a while, I'd lost everybody. And I was like completely alone. I only had like one friend, then my younger brother was the only person I still talk to occasionally. Nobody. And I was homeless. I lived outside Unilag. So when they closed the hostel, I had no place to stay because I couldn't go home because my mom was pissed. I couldn't call any of the people I knew because they didn't like me. I was broke, didn't have food to eat. I stayed in I lived in Unilag Chapel for like a month. So for that 1 month, I was living outside, like I was homeless. I had all my clothes in one bag, and I used the toilets in the chapel. If I needed to use, I can't use the toilets by emergency. I had to plan using toilets because I don't have like a house, so I don't have office or anything. So if I want to use the toilet, I have to plan it like 3, 4, 6 hours in advance. So I lived like that for a month, which did not help not feeling depressed. Then after the first couple of months in business, it became even worse. So my idea then was, I'm going to start this business, it's going to take off, and in a year I'm going to be like rich. So I will prove to these people that they are wrong. And 6 months in, the business pretty much failed. So my first business then, for that night, which was one of the main businesses I was doing, it was distributing food in some of the hostels in Unilag. So I had, at that time, peak, I was in 4 hostels, and then slowly each one was getting shut down by the porters in the school. And then finally, the last one in my area got shut down, and I had no business. And then Get Hostel, which was my real estate business too, was just starting. It did well the first couple of months, and then it just stopped too because students did not need hostel, because hostel business was seasonal. There's a time they need hostel, there's a time they don't. So after a while, they stopped needing hostel. And when I checked how much I had made this couple of months, it was like 130, 140K. And then reality started hitting. Now it's like, okay, you dropped out of school to make 140,000 naira. Like, how dumb can you get? And that whole feeling and all the negative things people said to me during that period started becoming a thing I think of often. So every day I wake up, I always think about, like, what if they are right? What if I'm actually being stupid? What if I fail in the most miserable way? And over time, it went from those thoughts to depression. I could not get up in the morning. Well, to be fair, there was nothing to get up to. Like 2 businesses that failed, I had nothing going on for me. In fact, I did something that most people did not know. I actually re-enrolled back in school. I went back to school. I signed up to move to business admin. I went back, I wanted to, because it just felt like I didn't have much choice. So I signed up for business administration. I decided that there was no point pursuing this whole entrepreneur thing because it seemed like it doesn't work. And a lot of things they kept telling me. There was one particular phrase. They're like, you're not Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of Harvard. You dropped out of Unilag, bro. It's not the same. And a lot of people kept saying the same thing. I kind of believed it after a while because, I couldn't even find one person that had done it. There was one guy that actually had. He was CEO of Nigerian. I actually reached out to him that period, but the guy had gone MIA in 2017, 2018. He was not online. He was just like very, very hard to find. Funny enough, early this year we actually chatted and we talked briefly about the whole thing. And it was funny because now things had passed. So that threw me into one of the worst moments of my life, and the suicidal thought thing became a lot more occurring, where every point I'm like, maybe I should not wake up tomorrow. That would be nice. I actually prayed about it a couple of times that maybe God just, save me. See, this is why I find people who actually commit suicide courageous, because it takes a lot of work and a lot of courage to do that. And over time, things became better, but there were certain things that I did that was able to get me out of that rut and push forward to get to a place where things actually became better. And those things are what I'm going to share with you today. Now, the first thing I did is limit communication with the negative people. Now, not just limiting communication, also infusing positive content into your mind. Most times when people are depressed, it's really not about the situation itself. It's usually your thinking around the situation, which a lot of times is fueled by your environment and people around you. So there's this popular quote of, you are the average of the 5 people you spend your time with. Now that's a very good thing, except you can't really spend time with the people you want to be like. For instance, I like to spend time with Dangote. Can I spend time with Dangote? No. If you are poor, they make it look like you are the one that decide you want to be hanging out with poor people. The truth is, if you are poor, you almost have no choice but to hang out with poor people, because rich people don't want to hang out with you. But there was a hack I figured out during that period, which is connecting to online content. So what I did during that period was, I had an earphone, so I go to Alaba, I buy 10 of it, so I never not have it, and then I watch YouTube over and over again. I was obsessed with Gary Vaynerchuk that period. I was obsessed with Patrick Bet-David's Valuetainment, Brian Tracy, and all I did was listen to these people. So if I have 24 hours in a day, I'm listening to them maybe 12. Like, I listen to them more than the people I lived with. I just plugged my ear, and it was one of the reasons why I decided that when I do get to a point where people can say I made it, I'm going to start a channel like this to make sure that other people who are trying things like this in Nigeria understand that it can actually work in Nigeria. It's a thing that can actually work, and there are ways you can do it. It's a reality. You don't have to be scared too much. Be scared because it's hard, but not too much because it's possible. So one of the things you have to do is bring in positive content, positive content, positive ideas, positive conversation. Plug yourself into online conversations. You don't have to talk to the people in front of you. When I mean don't have to talk, I don't mean don't talk to them at all, but I mean you don't have to spend so much time interacting with them. Spend your time plugged in, listen to YouTube. See, people have gone. There are people that are worth $1 billion or dollars on YouTube. People worth over $100 million on YouTube. They've dropped hours and hours of content, and they are very, very positive content. All you have to do is listen to them. Listen to them over and over. There's this one I do where when I want to sleep, I just play one of those videos and I sleep with it, just so that in case my subconscious mind is confused on what he should be thinking about, those videos will convince him otherwise. So after a while, you realize that your internal thoughts will no longer be about the negative things people said to you or negative things you're going through, but the positive things you're actually listening to, because our mind have this inability to go outside our environment. Those YouTube videos became my environment. Those inspired people, those people who've made it, those people who've done great things with their life, they became my top 5 people I listen to, because I spend more time listening to them than any other person around me. There was one particular thing that completely changed the game during this whole process. It was when I did the personality audit test recommended by Patrick Bet-David in one of his videos. I'm going to post the link below where you can watch the entire video and see how to do the personality audit test. But this personality audit test was a set of questions that he created. It also helped him go through similar situation. So the way you're watching this video to come out similar, that's how I watched his video when he came out of this, and he recommended this personality audit test where you're supposed to go through certain questions about yourself, and it will help you understand yourself better. Because most times what happens when people are depressed is they don't like themselves, right? You're criticizing yourself too much, you're blaming yourself too much over things that you might not really have much control over. So when I took the test, one thing I realized is I've always been an entrepreneur. Whether I was in school, whether I was at home, I have always been this is me. Like, I was not trying to do something stupid, I was just following what actually I am about. The first business I actually started was when I was in primary 5. Very interesting business. For some reason we needed birds, for some reason I can't remember what it was, and then I was the one selling it. So I went to the market, found a guy selling bed for like 20 naira, then I was selling to my classmate for 15 naira. The good thing is their parents were paying, so it's not like, because it was a practical that we needed in school. And I also learned my first business lesson during that business, when I found one of my neighbors was doing bird cage. So I went to his house to meet him to make one for my birds, and he was not around, but I met his elder brother. I said, elder brother, yeah, I can do it too, I do bird cage too now, like, what's there? And then I gave him 100 naira, which was all my profit at the time in my business, to help me make the cage. Week 1 pass, this guy did not bring me my cage. Week 2 pass, he did not bring my cage. Week 3, that was way past the deadline. When it got to a point, I had to tell my parents what happened, and then we all went to see his parents about the money. And then the parents was like, the guy took carry our money and run. That be too. Well, if you see him, come and meet us. Let's all hold him together. Our parents, he had already gone rogue, so they were all looking for him. And that was my first business. So when I did that personality audit test, I realized that I'm not being crazy. I actually am supposed to do this. And I also found out other things about myself that made me a lot more comfortable with my decision and my life moving forward. And it's something I think everybody should do. Like, everybody should do that test, because it will reveal who you are, what drives you, and other things about yourself, which would give you a bold step to actually do what you're supposed to do, whether as an entrepreneur or not. Maybe you might decide not to be an entrepreneur after taking the test and decide to get a job instead, because you'll find out more about yourself. Another place where you can also do this test or get an idea where it is Patrick Davis' book called Your Next 5 Moves. Now, interestingly enough, he just released the book like 2020, either 2020 or 2021, but this was the personality test I took was before the book, but the book also covers it in move 1. So the book is Your Next 5 Moves. Move 1 is Know Yourself. So I recommend, before you take the YouTube one, read the book, the first chapter, move 1. It will set the tone very well for you to now go and watch the YouTube video, and then download the PDF and then take the test. And when you are taking the test, take it seriously, because it can change your life. It changed his life. It has changed thousands of people's lives that I have recommended to, including mine, and it was a big game changer for me during that period. Now, another thing that really changed the game too, that helped me come out of depression, was there's this affirmation, a very nice affirmation: I like myself. I learned that from Brian Tracy. I'm not sure which of his book he recommended it. I think it's Psychology of Selling, interesting a lot, or one of his other books. But there's this common phrase: I like myself, I like myself. And one thing about saying I like myself is when you say it, you feel a lot happier. Like, it's like a small smile you do when you say I like myself. And then it felt like when I started using that mantra, the whole darkness that came with being depressed, anytime I say I like myself, there's a dot of happiness, a dot of light, and that light kept increasing the more I say it. So whenever I just feel like the darkness is getting, I like myself, I like myself, I kept saying I like myself. And with time I started liking myself. And one thing I have noticed is, if you like yourself, you'll be confident. If you like yourself, you'll be happy. If you do like yourself, you would not criticize yourself as much as you would normally. And that's just changed the game entirely for me. And over the next couple of months, I liked myself even more and more, to a point where the whole thing was gone and the darkness finally left. The next thing that really helped a lot to come out of that moment of my life was finding things to be grateful for. One of the things that I noticed was I was judging myself too quickly and too harshly. My business just started and it was making 150,000 naira in like 6 months. By the way, that same business later grew to make billions of naira in a year, right? But that was the first 6 months. And I remember what hinted at it. I met one of my friends and I was ranting about how bad business was. And I told her that I had 150k from the business. And she said, Omo, I wish I have 150k. And she was so excited about the money that I realized, oh, maybe 150k is a lot of money. And this was back in 2017 when 150k is basically like $1,000. So that was not as bad as I thought. Just that I had such high expectation of myself, and I wanted to prove people wrong so bad that I just went to do so much. And by the time I started working with gratitude for what I had, I started realizing that there was nobody to prove wrong. I didn't have to prove anybody wrong. I didn't have to put unnecessary pressure on myself. I will move at this pace that I'm moving at. Funny enough, the 150k I have in the bank at the moment, most of the people I was trying to prove wrong don't even have that 150k. So for what is what, at that point I'd already won. So I started looking for things to be grateful for. You see what I just did, where I turned everything from 150k looking bad to 150k looking like a good thing. I started learning how to do it, and it's something that would help you throughout business, because guess what, bad things will keep happening to you. If you say you want to build a business, prepare to have back-to-back bad things, but you need to be able to look at those bad things and make it look good. Okay, yes, you are in debt for 150 million, but you raised 150 million. That is actually not easy. How many people can raise that kind of money? I remember when I was going through that, which is one of the videos we did. You should totally watch that video about how I came out of debt. And one of the things that I told one of the investors one time was, everybody is in debt now. Dangote is in debt. Or Tesla is in debt. I was telling one of my friends that this year, Tesla stock is down, Microsoft stock is down. I call like 4 companies. Google stock is down. There is only my stock that should go up. Obviously, my own stock too will be down, and that's why I'm in debt. And it was a thing I learned during this period, where be grateful for what you have. No matter how bad your situation is, people have it worse, and it could actually get worse. So be grateful for everything you have, for wherever you are, whatever you've got. Just be grateful. You have one leg, be grateful one is still there. There are people that don't have legs at all. Be a cup half full guy, not cup half empty. And I learned this a lot from Gary Vaynerchuk. I love Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk was like, yo, you have way too much. If you have 10k in your account right now and you're thinking I'm broke, my dear, your life is better. There are people that are owing 200 million. If you don't have anything and you're owing 200 million, your life is better. People are in prison. So you are in a better position than you actually think. And for you, one thing I also noticed about maybe you're owing debt is, the bigger the money you are owing, the more, easier everything is to handle. It's easier to handle 200 million debts than 10k. That your guy, they will 10k, you go tear your shirt. 200 million naira, but if you know tear your shirt, you guys might talk, you have meetings. I remember that I was going back-to-back Zoom meeting. It was hard, but yeah, it's not as hard as when your friend is in your room holding your trouser and tearing it up. So find things to be grateful for. Find ways to be grateful for what you have. Make sure that you have a life of gratitude. Always spend time with people that you love, and also try to be grateful for whatever thing you have. Now, this next thing, I saved it for last because this one is so important. It changes the game, because you cannot be grateful and be grateful. 2 years have passed, your life is still pretty much the same. 5 years have passed, you are still in the same situation that got you depressed. Because if you are, then you are always fighting a battle. You need to actually come up, right? If you are depressed because you failed, you need to win. Like, that part is also necessary, which brings me to the one and most important raw action. You need to fight. I saw a video then by Patrick David that said something. He said, they can talk bad about you. They can lie on your name. They can steal your business idea. They can say whatever they want to say. They can sue you. They can call you names online. Do you know one thing they can't do? They can't stop you from working. They can't stop you from waking up early and starting work on time. They can't stop you from working till midnight. They can't stop you from doing what you need to do. Regardless of what's going on around you, you need to work. Because at the end of the day, that's what will bring you results. So if I give you all this and you take it and now you are grateful and you like yourself and stuff and you're not putting in the work, there's no result, because it's the result that will give you leverage to actually speak. It's the result that will take you out and you will not have that depression thing or whatever is making you sad there. So you need to work like crazy. There's one interesting thing about work ethic. During the time when we just started business, one very interesting conversation me and my co-founder usually have around work. So when we have stuff to do, we usually say we're taking the day off. And whenever we talk to each other, we're like, oh, I'm taking tomorrow off, it means we're closing by 5. Whenever we have conversation with each other and say, tomorrow I'm taking the day off, it means we're closing by 5, because we normally close by 12. 10, 12, 1. I think there was one time we slept in the office many times. Sometimes we're working to 1 a.m., sometimes we're working to 2 a.m. That you work to 2 a.m. does not mean you will not come early the next day. So the next day you are back at 7. So when we want to now, like, relax, maybe that day I want to go to the movies, or it's my birthday. I remember my birthdays, that's when I close work by 5 on my birthdays, so that I can celebrate myself. And that's how it worked. When you want to rest, or maybe you have babies coming over or something, you want to relax, you've tried, is you close by 5. So you need to understand that the only thing that gets you there is hard work. There's this urge to stay in bed, to not do it. It only makes things worse. There's this urge to pity yourself so much that you are not like, oh my God, I'm a victim, I feel bad. See, that never works. You're not a victim. You woke up and say you want to be an entrepreneur. Do you want the glamour? That's the price. That's the price for all the glamour. You want all the shine things. You want to fly private jets, or just fly at all, because in Nigeria we're not hustling to fly private, we're just hustling to fly. So if you want to fly at all, right, that's what you want. You want to be among the 1% of the 1%. Then you have to do things that the 1% of the 1% or others cannot do. So you have to do what 1% people do, which is come out of things like this. So you need to work like crazy. Work like crazy. Read like crazy. Strategize like crazy. Read as many books as you can. Work as hard as you can. Strategize your best strategy. You must do the work. There's no escaping that. So while you are sad, work. While you don't feel like it, work. Not working is not a solution. Don't go, oh my God, I'm sad, so there's no need to go to work. You go to work because you are sad. You go to work because you are sad. Because when you stay at home, what's next? You just sit down and think about how sad you are. Does that help? That makes it work. When you go to work, at least someone will shout at you for not reporting something, and then you think about that instead. That's better than thinking about, oh my God, how all the miserable things are happening to you. So work like crazy, because that's one thing that will actually make changes in your life today. One thing you have to do if you want to make it as an entrepreneur is you have to anticipate problem. Now, this story I've told you, all this is, I'm sure if I bring other entrepreneurs here to sit down and talk to you, they would have some variation of this story. It's not unusual, it's not strange, it's not my village people specifically. It's just the game. It's normal. This is what happens when you decide you want to be the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. There's a price to pay. Pay that price. So anticipate things like this. Anticipate it, prepare for it, and then fight. Fight and you will win. You will win only if you fight. And when you fight and you fight right, you will win. And I hope with this information here, you will fight and you will definitely win. So prepare for this. Anticipate this. Don't just carry your mind that I want to go and be a billionaire. It's so easy for people to make goals. You want to be a billionaire. Are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to do what billionaires do? Once you can understand that this is normal, it makes it a lot easier for you to go through. I went through it. I'm sure if I call my business partner, he can tell you his own version. If I call my mentors, almost all of them went through some version of this. So anticipate things like this and prepare for them. I know this is not your regular YouTube video. I know when you are looking for entrepreneurship content, this is not usually the kind of content you get. But with this video, I hope you'll be able to understand, and it's giving you clear insight on how to come out of such situation. Now, if you're going through this right now, I want to assure you this: you will come out of it. I feel you. I've been there. It's hard. It's really hard. Like one of the hardest things you ever do, but you can come out of it. And I want this to be the video that gives you the mind, the authority, and the confidence to stand up and get to work and come out of it. So in 1 year from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, you look back and like, yeah, I watched this video and that changed my life. Remember to share this video also, because there could be friends of yours going through this. This video could literally save their life. Share with your friends, like, comment, and I'll be seeing you on our next video where we'll be talking about business and how to grow yourself as an entrepreneur.